The Wests Tigers podcast is brought to you by the Wests Tigers Podcast Forum. Join the conversation today at weststigerspodcast.com.au.
Episode number 455 of the West Tigers podcast, and it is a post-victory edition of the podcast. This is starting to be like muscle memory. I'm starting to be able to do these without having to worry, just like it used to be in the old days with doing the post-loss editions of the podcast. 42-22 the final score, 28-4 at halftime to the Tigers. At halftime, sitting there thinking, is 24 points enough? The Knights are going to have a breeze. Ended up being okay. But we'll talk about the last 15 minutes, which Benji Marshall in the press conference described as unacceptable. So that'll be a bit of a topic to talk about. But as I said, 3 in a row. Jordan may be joining us. He's celebrating, no doubt. The monkey is off Jordan's back, which is great to see. He's been carrying that around like a millstone for a couple of years. And Josh is living it up at West Ashfield. He's partying like it's 2005 all over again, apparently. Let's get back to normality. Declan, one word, please, to describe that 20-point win over the Knights this afternoon.
Well, it's as you said, Joel. My one word is finally. We've finally won 3 in a row. First time since 2018.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if I was on the podcast at that point. So this might actually be the first time that we've covered a third straight win where I've talked about it. So, yeah, very exciing.
So remember, you're the curse, not Jordan.
Maybe got to the... But I'm still here, though, so maybe maybe it was someone else, but yeah.
17 times we got to 2 in a row. The 18th time we made it 3 in a row. Surely we can't repeat that ever again. Nick, what's your one word?
How about streaking?
Streaking?
Was it The Hangover? Is that where streaking came from? No, it wasn't The Hangover. It was one of the Steve Carell movies. I can't remember which one it was.
Okay.
Where he says, we're going, or was it Will Ferrell? No, Will Ferrell, we're going streaking. It was definitely Will Ferrell movie. But we're on fire, 3 in a row.
Yeah.
I'd say Jordan probably will go streaking tonight. He'll be running down whatever street he's in, naked, and I wouldn't blame him. He deserves a good cold streak.
Exactly.
I'm still in Queensland, but I heard it's a little bit chilly down in Sydney, so it'd be a bit cold out there. So if you do, Jordan, maybe put a jacket on. Just keep yourself a bit warm.
Especially out in the MacArthur. It could be a little bit chillier. The movie you're thinking about is Old School.
That's probably it.
Will Ferrell that's running down the street partying by himself with with no clothes on. It's amazing what sits in the back of my mind. Okay, my words, a little bit of poetic license, which you can always do, whether it be a loss or a win. I've gone for first. We are first on the ladder, equal first. I've got 3 in a row because I think that's probably a pretty good one word, even though it's more than one. I've got right edge, which I thought was really lethal, which is not what we thought was going to be the case this year. We thought the left edge was going to be the lethal edge, but the right edge has been really good. But I've got physicality because just like last week against Parramatta, there were times where we were hurting guys, and not wingers. We were hurting guys like Saifidi and Frizzell. We rearranged Frizzell's ribs. I'm really, really happy with the physicality. That's a big sign of difference in the team. Tavana was ruled out. Patrick Herbert came in. We'll talk about Patrick Herbert's performance. But I thought we might start with Jahream Bula, who there are rumours around he has re-signed long-term. Declan, he was a class above today. Like, not consistently. He has those moments, but he did some great stuff out there.
Yeah, I think his fundamentals were really good. His kick return was great. And I thought this was the best time, or probably his best game in the season, in the sense that he injected him really well. He injected himself really well into the back line, scoring that try, the first try, which was really good, just backing his speed to beat the centre, who I think was either on debut or was like kind of a New South Wales Cup player who was filling in for Badman Best. But anyway, he did a great job just to hold up the play just a little bit to get himself enough space just to go through. And then the confidence in the second try just to back himself in that like tight little space. And he's like, although he's a pretty tall guy, he's not like a massive fullback. So it's a pretty good effort to like drag 3 Newcastle Knights players to get to the line. I was a bit scared that the ref would take that away, but I think he did get there. And it just seems like Bula, he's 24 at the moment, so it just seems like he's really going like at the start of going into like a real kind of like purple patch in terms of like his footy maturity. The same as like Kyprius Paul, Terrell May, and like although he's probably not like like top 3 like fullbacks in the comp, you can see that he's like I feel like he's about to go on a run in terms of his best footy, and it just seems like the system we have at the moment is just really bringing the best out of him. So yeah, hopefully the kind of rumours about him re-signing are on the mark, or at least we take up his option, so he's here for next year. Because I think he's a bit like Will Kennedy at the Sharks. Like he just fits so well because he's been there since like day one, and he just kind of fits in so well. He's safe. He seems to be getting he seems to like get along with everyone else. I'd be sad to see him leave, just purely because I think that like this is. I would be a bit scared if he was to go to like a team like the Dragons, where you look at Tyrell Sloan, who's a very similar player to Bula, but he's like kind of in and out of fast grade playing on the wing. I think that this is probably the best system for him here. So hopefully, they come to some sort of agreement.
All of a sudden, everything's turned around in the world because a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we were talking about why would a player leave a top of the table team, a team up in the top 8 to come to strugglers. And now we talk about Bula, and it's like, well, why would you leave here when we may be on the crest of some real success and go to the Dragons? But Nick, he's deceptively strong. That's 2 weeks in a row he's got the ball sort of 10 meters out, and there's not a lot of him, as Declan said, but he's just very determined with those runs.
He is. He's an athlete, and we've spoken about that many times. That run he made, I mean, the gap was there. So he saw the gap and he just put his head down and charged at it. It was kind of like a Luke Lalali charge, but from Bula. And I think he did get the ball down, so thank God that was given. But he's a quality player. And we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago, probably the last pod I was on before I went on holidays. But, Bula was referred to by Terrell as the glue in the team. And everyone loves him. They don't want him leaving, and that fullback role is so pivotal, not just attack, but also defense, and the way that you vocalize to your teammates in both of those respects of the game. So he's obviously a huge part of the side. And one thing too, like you just touched on as well, Joel, when you're a struggling team and you're losing a lot of games, you're going to get players wanting to get out because there's only so much losing you can put up with. But when you start winning, it's funny how all of a sudden the environment's great. And I think Benji had already started working on building that environment up where everyone is happy and wants to be at West Tigers. And the way that we're going, why would you want to leave? And I did see before you jump in, Declan, on one of the West Tigers socials, one of the Facebook groups, I think, during the week, someone had bumped into Funot Bolle and asked him when he was going to Melbourne. And he said, I'm not going to Melbourne. I like it too much here. So, that speaks volumes about what Benji's building.
Yeah, just on Bula as well. He looked really busy, and he looked like he wanted to get more touches than usual. Because I saw one play, he got an inside ball from Twal, in the middle. But then another play as well, he took he dropped under Terrell May as well on the goal line just to take a head up in their 20. So it seems like the more confidence he's getting, the more he's keen to take the line on, which I think is great because I think before he might have been a little bit guilty of not going after it, but I feel like fullback these days just really have to put themselves in the picture more. And obviously the forward, we'll get to it, I'm sure, but the forwards from our team were absolutely smacking the Knights forward for pretty much 60 minutes, pretty consistently. So there was plenty of spaces for Bula to pop up in, which I think is why we probably saw the best of him today.
Yeah, we've got plenty to talk about when it comes to the forwards. I just thought we'd start with a look at the backs, and then we'll jump in also with all the one-word submissions from the West Tigers podcast forum. Don't forget, if you're watching us on YouTube, to subscribe. And if you don't want to watch us on YouTube, you can also listen to us on YouTube, available as a podcast as well as through all the other podcast platforms. Taruva, 3 tries. We wrapped him last week. He, the funny thing is, the Energizer Bunny looked to be out on his feet a bit. He had the cramp at the end, Nick. But he did so well in the centres, and he didn't let anybody down. But just a Taruva game. He's just such a resource that we shouldn't take for granted.
Absolute pocket rocket.
Yeah.
He's an energizer bunny, like you're just saying. Yeah, we know what he's like in attack, and I was one of those guys that thought it was just a little bit weakened for a Taruva point of view coming into the centres. However, he did do a great job working out that defensive role, which was a little bit different to when he's out wide on the wing. But I was really grateful to see him go back out to the wing, and he did make the most of his opportunities today. He got a couple of nice balls from Dewey, who threw a couple of nice cutout passes, and he runs the ball so strong, and he celebrates just as strongly. Can't remember one of the tries in. Don't remember which half it was, but he went absolutely nuts. He did the
first half.
The claw across the chest, and then kicked the ball out into the crowd. It was unreal. So love Taruva.
We've got Patrick Herbert for a couple of years, Declan. He looks to be a pretty good resource that you can call on to play centre or wing. Sort of a physical, strong guy. Not overly impressed when he ran the ball and ran out of room and ended up over the sideline, but we'll put that down to, first game back in NRL and making a mistake. But I thought he was good.
Yeah, he seems like a really confident player, I would say. With those American ground passes as well that led to tries, that was good to see. And then because you kind of expect a guy who's coming from New South Wales Cup just to try and be solid, conservative, and play, not play it safe, but play the high percentage plays. But he just came in with a lot of confidence, and I wasn't too surprised because I've got a few Gold Coast Titans friends. And they kind of said that he does back himself, and he there was a few times where it was a bit hard mouth. I think when he had the ball, especially I think the try he scored was great, but at the time in the moment I was like, oh, he probably should have passed it. But in the end, when I look back at it again, I think he did the better thing, just to dummy and tuck it under and run. Yeah. And then I think that when he ran into touch. Off the counter attack, I think that was really bad because the Knights scored after that. But I think I'm being very harsh. I think overall, for a guy coming in for New South Wales Cup, he was great. I think
huge kudos to Benji as well for picking up on the fact. I think I watched the press conference and Benji was saying he was watching was it a Queensland Cup game or something?
A New Zealand touch football tournament.
Oh, was it Maori?
Yeah.
And he did a double take and said, "Is that Patrick Herbert?" and gave him a call, but. The way he plays and the way he played today, I think he really fits into that mould of the team that Benji's trying to build. Like you said, Declan, really strong runner of the ball. Got some good skills. There are a couple of opportunities where he actually got the ball ready and one in his right hand and threw the flick out to the wing. So some really good skills there. And for a guy that hasn't played NRL in 4 years, pretty impressive debut. It's good.
Macassini was quiet. He still surprises me how many times he gets whacked and just gets up. He's a very solid guy. He's obviously got a high pain threshold. Obviously, Talon and Stafford Toa. If Stafford gets through the New South Wales Cup game, no problems. He might come into consideration next week. Tavana, it was supposedly hamstring tightness, which is, I think, always a bit of a smokescreen. So it's going to be interesting to see which way we go. Jeral Skelton, he hurts people with those balls that he runs back, and that was fantastic. And he mostly did very, very well. But can we afford to have a guy that does those sorts of things? Declan, obviously we're talking about when he tried to pass the ball. It was a brain snap. He's got that in him, unfortunately. And I love Jeral Skelton. I love the way he plays the game. But, geez, I wish we could get that out of his game.
Yeah, I was on another group chat and they were kind of trying to defend Skelton, saying that Macassini called for the ball. And while I think that's true, I think even if Macassini catches the ball, he's got a Knights player right on him, standing still, and he's not gonna go anywhere. So I think we've got someone joining.
Look out!
Sorry, boys, I just wanted to hijack it leaving the ground, and we broke the hoodoo and. Everyone can get off my back, especially Nick.
I was hoping that you.
How does it feel, Jordan?
Hey, that's me, mate. The hoodoo's gone. I can see in this beautiful night sky, there's no more cloud over my head. We've got 3 in a row, and away we go.
Excellent.
You been drinking, Jordan?
I don't drink, mate, but trust me, the vibe in the Sherwood just then was insane. The boys were lapping it up, absolutely loving it.
Excellent. Are we going to make it 4 in a row? Is that your new prediction?
I'm not going to go out on a limb and say
Yeah.
4 in a row straight away. I'll enjoy this win, and hopefully we can get through a very depleted Brisbane next week.
Exactly. What did you make of the just overall of the game, Jordan? How did you think of the performance? We haven't really spoken about the poor end to the game yet, but I thought for 60 minutes, and most of us would probably agree, we're very, very good.
Yeah, definitely, a dominant performance. Like, I honestly, I would love to see the territory stats and see where Newcastle actually played most of the game, because they didn't really cross into our half much during that game at all. It was very much watching like the Warriors against Storm. We just bashed them. Every tackle, we were beating them. The last 15 minutes was disappointing, which Benji addressed in the press conference, I believe. But yeah, the fact is that we didn't give them much of a chance. We started fast like we want, and I think Terrell must listen to our pod, because we wanted more from him on the ball, and he provided.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the forward soon, but yeah, he did everything that we asked for, which was, it was fantastic. He had a great game. You're at Campbelltown. How was the atmosphere?
It was amazing. It was amazing. The chants, everyone was getting into it. The crowd, considering the referee wasn't giving many penalties away, I was actually quite impressed with how many, or the lack of penalties, especially 6 agains. But the vibe, the chat, just talking to people coming into the ground as we were getting here, there's a different feel.
Yeah,
there's a different feel about this team, and everyone's loving it. Talking to people at the Sherwood just now, there's a different feel, and it's great. It's really enjoyable, and we can hope it just continues to go up.
Jordan, I'm just curious, do people come up to you and say, you're that Nostradamus guy that predicted this? Do you get that?
There's been a couple. There's definitely been a couple. There were a couple of comments from some regulars I sit around Campbelltown with. They were going, finally, when it was half time and we had that lead, there were a couple looking at me. I'm like, I'm not saying a word. I'm not saying a thing. I'm not, I'm just keeping my mouth shut. And then, when there was only a few minutes to go and the result was beyond doubt, I'm talking at them all and I'm getting thumbs up everywhere. So hopefully it's behind me now.
Exactly.
For now.
The West Tigers podcast has made you famous, Jordan.
Oh, no more predictions from me. I'll stick with trying to win the lotto for now. That'll be as far as I can predict.
Exactly. Do you want to we'll let you go, or are you going to hang around?
100%. No, I just wanted to hijack the pod for a moment, and I'm just going to get back in the car and drive, but I'll be looking forward to listening to it. But I thought I needed to get on there to say to all the fans, it's over. Let's go. Let's get 4 in a row.
That's it. Good on you, Jordan. Thank you. Well done.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Hey, Jordan.
All right. Well, we had to hear from Jordan. I mean, I'm glad that we did. It was his claim to fame, but also, as I said earlier, that millstone is off his neck. He can get on with his life now.
There wouldn't be too many teams that have gone such a long period of time without winning 3 in a row, would there?
No, I think that's... Is it a record? It must be a record. I'm not sure.
How many years was it?
6
was
it 2018, was it?
2018, yeah, pretty sure.
An indication of just how much we've struggled. Also, I mean, that was the first win at Campbelltown for over 600 days as well. So,
ridiculous.
Hoodoo is broken. So, look, in short, Declan, Skelton, we're all fans of him, but do we find a spot for him when everybody's fit? Like, how does that work?
Well, it's interesting as well, because apparently Taylor May is supposed to be fit or has a chance for next week, and then Luke Lally comes back into contention next week as well. Tavana, I'm not sure about his fitness, cause I'm not sure how serious the injury is that stopped him from playing. But yeah, I don't know. I think at the start of the year, when he had that really great game against the Cowboys, I just thought you had to find a spot for him, because it really looked like he was in form, hungry to make meters. But then he was really disappointing against South, and I don't know. There's so much kind of heat in the outside backs when everyone's fit, and everyone kind of brings something slightly different. I think with Tavana, he might not be as good with the ball and yardage, but just his ability in the air, I think, is something that this team, who are really good at kick chases, I think he just kind of adds that sense of that extra chance that we can score or get a repeat set. But then again, in a fully fit team, it's probably Macassini, Taruva on the wings with May, and who else? Who am I forgetting?
Toa.
Yeah, Toa. like full strength. So yeah, it's interesting. So it's a good problem to have though. But to make it even more complicated, I thought Taruva, like he just is so like smooth on the wing. Like the way he took some of Dewey's like cut out passes, it might not look that great, but just the ability and timing to run onto them. And so yeah, it's tough. I think some good players are probably going to miss out.
Yeah, well, that actually leads into a point I was going to make, which is, Benji's got some good lineup decisions to make. Like, it's a pretty good place to be. Do you go conservative? Do you go with what's working? Do you bring the guys that have been there and done it before? Like, it's going to be very difficult to find out, or it's going to be very interesting to find out on Tuesday. He was asked in the press conference about where does Madden play, and he said, "You'll find out on Tuesday." Benji's been taking the angry pills. We won, and he was still a bit angry, Declan.
Yeah, I was thinking the other day, it's just so funny to see when he was a player, like getting interviewed and he'd like crack a joke, like you could see it. But now I think he's made a conscious effort to like kind of like take from Wayne Bennett and just like act as like cranky, insert cranky old man whenever like someone asks a question. Like I think it's probably like a tactic not to give anything away. It's probably something he's learned on the job, but yeah, it's an interesting kind of transition.
Exactly. Let's have a look at the one-word submissions from the West Tigers podcast forum. Thanks to everybody that did submit a word or so. And we probably haven't, like last week, haven't got them all in because we're recording fairly soon after the game. Mac Tiger, their word was professional. I think that's pretty true. Teddy S said terrible icing, but then did come back later and post that, but the cake was pretty sweet. So, yeah, it's good thinking. I like that. Tigersman, no more monkeys. 3 in a row and a win at Campbelltown. London Tigers manhandled. Comprehensive performance. Not sure we've seen physicality like that before. Mike's word was hoodoo broken, which is 2 words. Natmac 78 start. Finally got off to a good one and went on with it. LFC Tiger physicality. May ran straight and hard. So did every forward, and we smothered them in defence. Tiger Lily's word was momentous. Our sliding doors moment. Enumerator said, well, I think this was just a post. I don't think it was one word, but we'll give you 3 words. Enumerator, disappointing end defensively. Robbie, who's been a member of the forum for a while, but has lurked but not posted before, he came up with heart and soul. This team is invested in helping each other out at every moment of the game for the greater good. The halves, Nick, it's been a bit of a discussion as to what we're going to do. But Madden, some great goal kicking today. Madden, he again played well, but Luai will be back next week. After that performance, you can't move Dewey out of halfback. And some people will say he wasn't perfect, but geez, he threw he set some tries up. He took some good options. He was hard to tackle. I think that you got to go with Dewey and Luai. I've made up my mind.
You do. Very hard to, like Declan was talking about before, very hard decision. And it's good to have tough decisions when you've got quality players in your squad, but it's really hard to drop Jock after playing, 2-3 games now, and he's had, wins. Like he hasn't lost. He looks like he's owned the team. Like that's the type of player that he is. I'd love him to be on the bench if he's not in the starting team. I think he's got to be there. How you inject him, I'm not sure. I'm still not, and people are going to shoot me, I'm still not convinced Dewey's our best option for 7. I still don't like some of his last tackle options, and I know I did say that in our chat today, and then next minute he throws a cutout pass to, I think it was Taruva, and we score in the corner, and Josh was very quick to give it to me. But some of his last tackle options, I wouldn't see them from Nathan Cleary or someone like that, Adam Reynolds. I still think he makes a few poor decisions where sometimes he'll run the ball rather than pass or look for the offload. His kicking, I know he's been hampered with his kicking the last couple of weeks with his groin twinge or whatever it might be, hamstring tightness. But even some of his short kicks I don't think are on the mark, and I don't even think they're as good as what Jock provides either. So I agree that he has to be there. I don't think he's a perfect 7, but I'm not sure who that perfect 7 is. And he's been wearing the 7, Jock's been wearing the 6, but they haven't been playing that way. So yeah, it's a very, very going to be very interesting. And again, you'll have to wait till Tuesday, as Benji said, when the team list comes out. I don't know how Benji's going to do it.
Well, I think surely he's going to pick Madden at 14, Declan. you've got the luxury of, and then you can bring him on. You could still play 20 or 25 minutes. I mean, Benji, Appy is, he's not getting any younger, and you kind of want to give him some relief, and you could probably play him at Madden at work. It's probably not good for Madden, but I don't know. I just think you've got to go with Luai and Dewey and give that a go, and you've got Madden up your sleeve, and you've got Latu up your sleeve.
Yeah, I think that I would love to see Madden in the team. I just think that he's just so like he's like a great guy. Like you can tell he's like a really good person who's like kind of came to first grade the long way around. So I think he's endearing in that perspective. But he's probably the first like genuine seven that we've had at the club for like a few years now. And I don't think it's a coincidence that we've played like our most consistent footy with like a genuine number seven. And also it's just great when we have like a kicker that we just know there's a really good chance that he's gonna like convert it as well. Like he had a few tough kicks today that he nailed and it looked like he was headed them pretty sweet. Obviously that massive one he hit against Power last week. But yeah, I just don't see like an avenue for it at the moment because like Luai, he's just the leader of the club. Like it's very clear that he's like the main guy, so he slots straight in. And then just after like all the kind of like communication from the club, that Adam Dewey was the seven this year, like re-signing him long term, kind of giving him the keys, and then they did blow the Cowboys apart as well. Round one didn't click. Round two, didn't click round three when we played the Bunnies. But you could argue that if the game was 5 minutes longer and we had both halves on the field, like we might win that game. So I just think there's no avenue at the moment for Madden to play Madden over those two, but that could change very quickly. But it's also I could see it being a little bit of a pebble in the foot if like Madden gets dropped and then like it doesn't click anymore, like because that could be like a real like kind of media story. They're already kind of talking about it this week. Like, obviously, it's a good problem to have, but I think like all the best teams, their spines and their best players in key positions, they're all really settled. Like sometimes when like we have these questions, because now if Luai comes back next week and we don't play well, that's what everyone's going to be talking about, and then that's kind of a bit of pressure. So I think like these things naturally sort themselves out, but I think I would like to see Madden at some point next to Luai. But I think Adam Dewey's playing like too well to be dropped. And like to be fair, he is playing that running like Jack Whiting sixth role.
Yeah.
So like maybe he would make different decisions if he was playing like a pure seven in terms of like last tackle options, because he knows it's more of his job to like end sets correctly. But as opposed to today, where you could just tell that he was like, I'm just going to run first and see what happens. So he probably wasn't thinking as much about like how the sets were going to end. But yeah, it's going to be a very interesting team last Tuesday.
That's the thing for me. With Jock, I see him as an organiser. Luai already said at the end of last year that he's given up on Batman. He just wants to come in and do his part and play the Luai role, which he's done for years and years. I don't think AD's an organiser. And even if you give him the seven role and Jock's not there and you say, all right, AD, you're running the place this week, I can't see him doing as good a job organising as Jock does. But yeah, how you fit him into the puzzle, I'm not sure.
I don't know. I think that with AD, like if you take the games from last year as well, when he went to seven, I thought the direction in the team, like even back then, was like noticeably different than it was before he was like when he was playing in the centers. So yeah, I don't know. I think like obviously like Madden's doing a great job, and that's probably more of a natural position. But I think AD's done a pretty good job of that hybrid halfback role. And in relation to like Luai, like not wanting to like be the main organizer, I think that like good halves should be able to do both at certain parts of the game. So like I don't know if like Adam Dewey's hot, I reckon, and if he's got like a mismatch somewhere, I reckon that Luai should be able to slot in and play that seven role to give Adam Dewey that space to play, and then vice versa. Like I think that's just like what should be happening with experienced halves. So I'm not really sure that like Luai should get like all the kind of responsibility taken away from him, because I think they should both be able to like kind of slot into both roles at certain points in the game.
And I think a little bit of it also depends on who we're playing and how the game's going as well. Like there's sometimes where you sort of think, well, we don't really need an organising halfback. Like look at what Dewey's doing. He's throwing these passes. He's setting us up. He's creating the space. He's putting questions in their mind. And then there's other games where it's like, geez, we really needed to kick to the corner. And Madden brings that. So what we need to do is form a hybrid of the two somehow. Declan.
Yeah, well, I saw Blake Austin in a podcast made like a really good point where he said that the traditional role of a halfback is to speed up and slow down the ruck in the game, depending on what the team needs. But now the ref is doing that kind of artificially with the six again rule. So maybe there's more leniency for teams to like carry two ball running halves because you don't really need to work like that kind of like kick to the corners, slow down the ruck, or that fast tempo. Like you kind of just react to what the ref is giving you at that particular time. So yeah, and then Melbourne kind of play that style, although it's not going great for them at the moment, where you've got Hughes and Munster, who are like kind of more run first types of players. And with someone as experienced as Appy kind of at hooker, I think that like it's something we could like build into. But yeah, it'd be interesting. Like obviously Madden's been amazing, but it'd be interesting if we'd come up against like a contender and where like they can match us in the forwards, because I think that we've just genuinely bashed all the teams we've played so far.
Yeah,
and like I'm sure Madden would do a great job, but I think like Luai has kind of been there and done that. So that's somewhere that I think that's why he needs to be there. And then yeah, it's a question for Dewey. He hasn't really proved it like at that stage yet. So we'll see.
Yeah, and to the listeners and viewers, if you've got an opinion on that, make sure you join up to the West Tigers podcast forum and let us know what you think about what Benji's going to do and what the best halves combination could be. Yeah, Tuesday will be interesting to see which way that he goes. It's a big decision to make, and it's always hard when you're on a winning streak to go tweaking those important positions as well. So Luai did say pre-game on the Channel 9 coverage, he said, I'm happy to play wing or centre. I've played there before. He was obviously joking, but you could just about put Jahream Bula on that left centre. He only has to move out about 3 meters and then he'd be almost at home, but that's definitely not going to happen. Let's talk about the forwards. We've probably saved the best for last. As a couple of people said there in the one-word submissions, and certainly, I said it as well, the physicality. Our forwards really brought it, but I wanted to highlight Alex Twal, Nick. I mean, he's been great all year, but the quality of his runs, and they're not soft runs, but there's times, and there was a few times in that game against Newcastle, that we needed someone to grab the ball and go 10 metres down the field, and he does it. And he does it when he seems to do it exactly when we need it.
Is he on human growth hormones, or has he been having horse injections? Like the guys,
he needs to be tested.
Yeah, to like talk about going to another level, not just the way he runs, but everything. Like his passing game, he's developed a bit of a Mark O'Neill swerve. Like he's got a lot of things happening. He nearly scored today. I think he got across the line, but didn't work out that he had to get the ball down towards the ground. It was like an NFL touchdown. But yeah, he's playing unbelievable. You talk about physicality every single week, Joel, but the way Twal especially started the game, I know he was wearing 13, but he was playing like a prop the first 20 minutes. He was destroying the defensive line. He was hitting the line with so much power that he was going for another, 2, 3, 4, 5 meters, easily 6 meters, even further. But he's absolute quality. So talking about jigsaw puzzle, you could always work him back into the prop rotation. There's no reason why he can't play exactly the same game that he's playing with a 13 on his jersey currently, but in the props. So yeah, there's a lot of options, but I'm loving what Twal is bringing this year. New player.
Yeah, there is that option definitely, but then that's potentially a big reconfiguration of the team. That's a team that's winning, so I'm not sure. Sam Fainu, I love that fen, Declan. That was a huge fen that he put on the Knights half, which was great to see. But apparently he's got a bit of a knee injury. What did you make of KPP and Samuela today? I thought obviously KPP was quite targeted, but I thought he still did very well. And Samuela was his usual threat out there on the left.
Yeah, I thought they were both amazing. I think it would have been great if KPP scored, but it wasn't to be. But yeah, they were both really solid. Fainu, when he came off, I think that was the start of when the Knights started to get some real joy down that side, because Seyfarth kind of came in. You could like kind of noticeably tell the difference in the defense. But yeah, Fainu, he's just such a good player. He's like, it doesn't always come across in the stats, but when you just watch him, just how good his runs are. And it's a real shame about that knee. Like Benji said, hopefully it's not too bad. And he didn't seem overly concerned. So like fingers crossed, because he's just so kind of important to like what we do in terms of like winning those moments. And that Fed was just amazing. And then it sucks as well because if Luai comes back next week, like he really brings the best out of Fainu. I think that if I was to be super critical of the halves, like I think that Luai like kind of connects better with his outside people better than Dewey and Madden do currently at the moment. So if Taylor May and like Fainu were to come back on that side, then you know we're laughing against the Broncos, hopefully. But yeah, it's frustrating if like Fainu was to kind of go with an injury. But yeah, he's just so good, and I can't really sing their praises enough.
We have spoken a little bit about depth, and I guess Tony Suka would be next man up. I suppose he's been playing very well. He was added to the bench today. I don't know if that's worth discussing because it could all be moot, and Samuela might play, but. Any other thought? Anybody else come up to mind? I mean, Sione's played edge before, but I wouldn't be mixing and messing with that.
Yeah, apparently Sucre has played quite well in Cup. Like when I saw him play against the Eels, like he looked really good. So I suppose that would just be a straight swap because, yeah, I think Seyfarth played the second row. God bless him. I think he's got the perfect role at the moment, just to like play in the middle and like for that kind of last 20 minutes, just to give his all. Because I'm not sure. Like we just seem more frantic, and like you could tell that Macassini in particular, like we weren't really sure what we were doing when like Seyfarth was there, because obviously he's trained with like Fainu there the whole time, so it's interesting. But yeah, I would go Sukar, like just a straight swap and keep Seyfarth on the bench.
Seyfarth has lost his license to stray any further than the middle third of the field. He needs to stay just just stay where the sand is. It's not there anymore, but just keep running up and down right in the middle of the field, Alex. That would be the best thing, please. Let's have a look at Jeral May. As we said on the podcast last week, Nick, it wasn't his best game last week. We said, what we want to see is more purpose in his runs. He did exactly that. I think I haven't looked at the stats, but I know he was well over 150 metres. That was just chalk and cheese to what he brought last week, and it made a big difference.
It was a real Terrell game today, and Terrell plays like Terrell every week. He's, I said it in our chat, he's not a barger, so he's not the type of forward like Fanua or Royce that Appy's going to throw a short ball to when we're on the line, and he's going to hit the defence so hard that he's most likely going to bust through. He tends to run more like a plotter, but he carries the ball really well and really strongly, and he makes those meters. So he's that type of longevity prop that you're going to get the hard work out of every week, especially when he's on. So. Yeah, it was funny. Like I did say to that, he's not a barger, and there was one ball that Appy did try to throw to him, and he couldn't get the ball down. But then he throws another pass to him, and there's no defender there, and he just went straight over and still dived. Just could have put it down, but did a dive. So that was really nice to see Terrell get over the line today. Quality player, but isn't it nice to have depth and options? You were talking a second ago about back row. Tony Suka could walk straight in, and then it's nice to be talking about Seyfarth. And not having to throw him in for long periods, and like you're saying, Joel, keep him in the middle, to keep him out of the train tracks out wide, and really nice to have options.
I thought Pole was very good as well, Declan. But Royce Hunt and Sione didn't stand out as much to me, but Royce had a stellar game. 2 stints. The first stint was around half an hour. I thought we were starting to lose a bit of momentum in the second half of. The second half of the first half, late in the first half, Sione came on and Royce came on, and I thought they steadied the ship once again.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I can't really single out one particular player. It just feels like a real like pack mentality, doesn't it? Like everyone's kind of stepping up at the same time, but just the kind of like variety. I think that Sione is like kind of you have like people that come off the bench because they're like genuine bench players, but I think Sione is just like another starter. Like he's definitely good enough to start in the NRL, but just to have the luxury to have his quality kind of come on, like play those like good long minutes between him and Pole. But then even Hunt, like I'm not sure how many minutes he said he played, but it's so like much quality compared to last year, and defensively like a lot better as well. Even in the trial. At the start of the year, I still saw him like a little bit slow when he was moving to fill in spaces in defence. But like obviously we had a lot of the ball this game, but like he just absolutely kind of belts people. And just something about like the rule changes where it looks like our squad, it really benefits us. Where like I can't say the same thing for other teams. Like it really looks like starters can go with us, but then when we have those when the bench comes on, like we seem to go to another level, and that's where we've kind of won a lot of our games this season. But yeah, like just a real like pack mentality where everyone's going really well. And I thought this was Jeral's best game as well for us.
Yeah.
Like he probably sometimes gets the ball a little bit too much in attack because he's probably not like that great of a link player at the moment. But like the kind of the longer the game goes, like the better he becomes because he's so fit and he wants the ball as well. So like if he hits top form, then happy days.
It's funny when you've got a good player like Appy, Nick, you sort of take him for granted. Like we've gone, he had a great game, and we're probably, we might not have even spoken about how well he went. Apparently, he's a good golf player too.
He's not bad. I have played golf with him. Did I tell you about that? Not too long ago. He's a great fella too. But yeah, you're right. He was he's been fairly quietly spoken about tonight, which is good because you've got guys right across the whole field contributing.
Yeah.
And it speaks volumes to the depth that Benji's built up over the off season and how much stronger we are across the park. When you're talking about our bench team and other options when players may miss out, we're not really losing anything. And even when we do rotate players using our bench, we're adding impact. We're not losing impact. And it's the first season I can remember in a very, very long time where after the first 20 minutes and you're looking to give your starting props a bit of a breather, that we're actually not having a visible difference in output when we are subbing, those
positive
guys.
visual difference sometimes.
It's massive. So your physicality has finally actually worked in a positive for us. We've become a really physical team. We haven't even seen Bunty. I don't even know if we will see Bunty, but he's sitting there in the back pocket as well. So Benji's done exceptionally well for a guy that a year ago we were talking, what do you do with Benji? Do you give him an extension? Do you let him see out his contract? Do you look for a better coach? Mate, you wouldn't change a thing. The way that he's just built the team and got everyone playing for him. I'm enjoying it. So good. I'm going streaking, Joel. Going streaking.
I don't know about that, but what about, I was going to sort of make the point, also what we spoke about on the pod last time was we need to get off to a good start. And this was the first time, Declan, I know that Luke Lely wasn't out there, and you could draw a line between some of Luke's defensive efforts in a couple of those games and our poor start. And I'm not laying the blame on him, but when you ask or you look at a team and you think, okay, well, what they've got to do is they've got to do something different, and they've got to show that they've got that adaptability and that ability to be able to play different games, play different styles. They came out with purpose. They really started the game beautifully. I thought that probably that first 20 minutes was as good as the West Tigers just about you'd ever see.
Yeah, I think that it's interesting because I actually thought that we've actually started really, really strong in all our games, but the problem was like we couldn't score when we had possession in the 20. Like we lacked that finesse and that kind of clinicalness, and then we wouldn't score, and then the other team would go up and score on the other end, which kind of like undid everything. But the main difference was that we managed to put on, I think, 3 tries from 3 visits to the Newcastle Knights defence. So we're just really clinical to start up with, and the best thing to see was we broke a team down when there wasn't any fatigue in the game. We just managed to break them down with balls in motion, with players in motion, with that, like, I think it was Trevor went over fast where I think like 2 players cut under Dewey to create the space, which was great. I think Craig Mazzy probably had a game to forget, but that's what you do. You target the weaknesses of the other team, and I think that's what we did, especially in the first half. But it's super good to see that, although we've been winning, there's still parts of the game that we can improve on, which I think, like, goal line defence is obviously one of them. And, like, to be fair, Newcastle, like, although they have a lot of players out, but they've shown a lot of defensive resolve, like, in other games as well. So to put, like, a big score on them where we look, like, pretty comfortable the entire game, like, I think we deserve a lot of credit for that. And, it's good to see. And I think Luai coming back as well will help a lot with like that kind of attack in the 20. But yeah, great start again from them. Like it looked like Newcastle, I think I said in the group chat, I don't think Newcastle got out of their own 50 by themselves in that first half without like a penalty or something like that. So yeah, just great effort from us.
Yeah, and I thought the Knights at times were dangerous. You know, even though they're missing their two best players, well, three best players. They still had some threats there, so that they'll be better for it. Obviously, we're missing two or three of our best players as well, which needs to be factored in. I'm going to probably think a little bit outside the box here because Benji described the last 15 minutes as unacceptable. But Nick, I think that Parramatta game 6 days ago, I think our fuel tank was getting a little bit empty. And if you look at what happened to Parramatta, they got blown off the park. And I know they've obviously lost a few players from injuries from that game, but they were very, very flat in that game. I wonder if they just ran out of gas.
It's going to be very hard to maintain for any team a
Mm.
certain level of intensity across an entire NRL season because the season is so long. Um, but you're right, and like Declan also just touched on, it's the first time we've actually got off to a lead. So the game actually went a completely different way to how it's gone
Yeah,
the last few weeks, where we've been trying to claw back and then trying to get on top. So we had the momentum early. We built on that for a change, which was really nice. Really solid halftime lead. And then obviously stumbled a bit. And I did say in our chat, towards the end of the game, I hope Benji rips into the boys for the last few minutes because I was sitting there and isn't it bad as a West Tigers supporter when it
yeah,
was
you're
what
doing the
was it,
math.
42 something, and I was thinking, hang on, how many drop points can they actually score in the last 4 minutes? How close can they get? And obviously they couldn't win, but I was worried about how close they might get. But yeah, he did rip into that, which is good. I think the boys, as the team as a whole, are still learning how to put together 80 minutes, and it was clearly a different way that the match sort of worked out
Mm,
today. So it's good that they've had that experience about getting off to a really good lead, holding it for the majority of the game. We need to obviously get better at learning how to ice games like that and how to
yeah.
put teams away. Like I was hoping that we could have clocked up a bit closer to the 50 and kept Newcastle down to a single try would have been nice.
Mm,
But it didn't quite go that way. But you don't want to perfect the season in round 5 or 6. So
yeah,
you
that's
want to
it.
build as the season goes on, and it is a long year. So
Mm,
lots of good stuff to take away, but a lot of stuff to work on, which is what Benji alluded to in the press conference.
mm.
But it's amazing though just to see how far we've come because I remember we played Newcastle up at their home stadium. I think it was round 3 last year, and it was kind of the same where like I thought we were like really on top like the majority of the game, but I think we only ended up winning by like 10 points because
Yeah.
we couldn't get that last like kind of like oh this seals the deal try until like the last 5 minutes. But to see the kind of like how quickly or like how fast the kind of attacks progressed, where we're putting like we kind of flog them like at home. I think that's something that as a fan that I just felt I'm like very like impressed by in terms of Benji's coaching.
The life of a West Tigers fan is leading by 4 converted tries with a minute to go and sitting there going, I can't relax just yet. Hang on. I've got to, we're not there yet. Hang on. I was going to make the point about the good teams. They tend to learn and grow and improve, but they do that and still win. Like they're not losing and growing and learning. They're still winning. They're just getting better as they win. And I hope we're that team. I hope that continues on for the West Tigers. Uh, Obviously, we don't really know much until Tuesday to see what the team is up against the Broncos. But I thought, it was a performance that we've all been looking forward to. It's a performance that sort of tells me that hopefully we've turned the corner, and yeah, like it's just a great feeling as a West Tigers fan to sit here and do post-victory editions. We've done so many post-loss editions, and I don't feel guilty at all in taking some enjoyment out of getting some wins. It's really fantastic. The only other thing that I was going to mention was the white jersey. Now, I don't understand, and I'm not complaining about it. I thought it looked good, but I don't understand because, Nick, I thought that was the away jersey. I don't know why we wore that at home.
Yeah, there's the old. I don't want to say it. I don't. I'm not going to say it was there to appease the Wests fans out at Campbell. I'm not going to say that. Maybe it's because we haven't worn that jersey much, and it was just giving another opportunity to
Okay.
put it on. But saying that, any winning jersey is a good jersey, and we've won 2 weeks in a row in that same jersey now. So I don't mind. I don't mind the jersey. I've said it before. I don't mind the home jersey, the orange one. I'm not a massive fan of the
Mm.
V. It's not really a proper strong chevron like a traditional chevron, but yeah, I don't really mind Joel, to be honest, as long as we win, I don't care what they wear. They could
They
be
could wear-
streaking for all I
They could
care.
wear
I'll be
pink.
Yeah, they could wear pink. Yeah.
Declan.
Yeah, I think it's technically the alternate jersey. I don't think it's the.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I don't think it's technically the away jersey. So, like, what like main or alternate mean? That's up to anyone else to decide. But I think as well, like I think those colours or that kind of colour scheme are like what the MacArthur Tigers wear as well for their like home jersey. So it just might be like a way to like kind of like signal like the kind of like, you know, ladder up the club system to the first grade team. Like the first grade team is wearing the kind of same jersey as like the Laurie Daly Cup team, and then the Andrew Johns Cup team, where the MacArthur have a team there. So that's probably why they decided to go that jersey. But yeah, there's probably a little bit of the Magpies appeasement as well going on, I'm sure.
The only thing I'd suggest with that is we probably shouldn't get to the point where there's a particular jersey at Campbelltown and a particular jersey at Leichhardt, because that just creates divisions, and it does. That's not the way the club works. So it's something for the club to be mindful of, I think. But anyway, we're not complaining. It's been a great day. It's not a complaint. It was just an observation. It wasn't the jersey that I was expecting. I was expecting us to wear our home one, but as Declan said, it's alternate. So I'm sure there's some math there. Maybe they felt the orange jersey was going to clash with the blue and the red, and that, you know, they're too similar.
Get confused.
Get confused, exactly. All right, boys, we will reconvene for episode 456 midweek after the team is named, and continue on the celebrations. It's great to be a West Tigers fan at the moment.
Yeah, savor it.
How good is winning? How good is winning?
It's great.
I could do this every week.
I could get used to this. Thank you, boys.
Thank you.
Thanks, fellas.